time we discussed about the beginning of nations and languages, you know, the Tower of Babel, when they tried to make a tower, and God confused them, and that's how the languages started, and all the nations started. So I understand that. So after so many years, then Abraham came. This was the question of Brother Mariano. How did Abraham come? So after the flood, men sought explanations for the source of life. Therefore, they experimented with worshiping the powers of nature. So they started worshiping the natures like sun, moon. Kasi they don't know what to do. So they just started worshiping animals, and they started making their images. So these people had become evil again after so many years. And so for this Abraham was found. Abram, actually, his name was Abram in the beginning. Abraham, he was the only one that God found to be faithful. And he remained separate and apart from such idolatrous practices. So, with Abraham, the word patriarchs came also.
Promise.
So, okay, let me start from there. Okay. So it says there, and Abraham believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness. Because of Abraham's belief in God, God found him very righteous. And this, and letter B, actually covenant promises, it says there, God promises him a country which is to be Canaan. He promised him to have children as many as the stars of heaven. He will have a spiritual seed through him. All families of the earth will be blessed, and he will have financial prosperity. And so, because God found Abram to be faithful and to be righteous, God made a covenant with him. God made a covenant with him. And okay, before the word covenant, when we say covenant, it is an agreement, or actually it's a blood compact. They will cut their wrists, and then they will rub together for the blood to be one, and that will make them a very strong agreement, and nobody will break it. And it is even practiced. Even we remember it, that there are practices like that in our time. So that's where it started. And so God also wants to make a covenant with Abraham. And that's what he introduced to him, to have circumcision. Also blood will come out. So the covenant with God and Abraham is circumcision. Circumcision was a visible mark and sign in a man's flesh that he had been separated unto God. So this is the meaning, that you are separated for God if you are circumcised. Without circumcision, it was impossible to share the benefits of Abraham's promises. So as we can see there, the covenant promises, those are the covenant promises. So this mark constantly reminded the Israelite of God's promises to him and of his responsibilities to God. Even the lowliest Hebrew, even the maid servants, and strangers who wants to join in Abraham were included, as long as they are willing to be circumcised. So for this, the people who joined Abraham were also given the task to give an offering also to God, blood offering, like offering an animal for their sins. And here we see Gentiles becomes Abraham's heirs. It is also promised because Abraham's covenant was one of those highly significant dual meaning incidents. Believers today can enter into covenant with God and become Abraham's spiritual heirs. The promise of Abraham's covenant were fulfilled with the coming of his descendants, Jesus Christ. So, Jesus Christ is the descendant of Abraham. And in Galatians 3:7 it says actually there, know ye therefore that they which are of faith, the same are the children of Abraham. And if ye be Christ, then are ye Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. So until now the promise of God to Abraham is still on. And on Romans 4:16 also says, therefore it is of faith that it might be by grace to the end the promise might be sure to all the seed, not to that only which is of the law, but to that also which is of the faith of Abraham, who is the father of us all. So that's why there's a song, Father Abraham has many sons. So Abraham believed in the Lord and he counted it to him for righteousness. Genesis 15:6. The Hebrew word translated believe, it implies an unqualified committal of oneself to another. So that means when he believed, he really believed in everything, that he had no questions. That's how Abraham was. Can we do that? When we believe, we just believe in everything that we have. And he absolutely committed himself to God. So as we are now in our situation, we are to believe the death, burial, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, to fully commit ourselves that this thing will happen to us. For death is repentance, burial is baptism, and resurrection is receiving the Holy Ghost for us to be regenerated. So the sign of entering the covenant now is no longer circumcision of the flesh, but of the heart. I said that already last time. So we say there, Abraham and Lot separate. So we discussed that last time. And Sodom and Gomorrah, I think you remember it. So now we go to the next chart, James.
The fourth dispensation.
The fourth dispensation, which is the promise. So this is so-called the promise because God promised of the promises that God made to Abraham, and not only to Abraham, for the Isaac, and for Jacob, and for the rest of us today. So men are required to love and believe in God and obey Abraham's covenant. So the first stipulation of God is for them to be holy, to be separate from all these idolatrous people, and to separate themselves from all sinners. And we can see there Ishmael, you can see there. So this is a shortcut thing. Actually it's a very long story. If we tell the story of what happened. So Abraham, God promised him posterity as many as the stars. So that means he will have a lot of generations, as many as the stars, but he doesn't have a child. The thing is, he doesn't have a child. So he couldn't wait, and Sarah couldn't wait. So Sarah said, come on, Abraham, just go to my maid and give me a child from her. So it's like a surrogate mother. So Abraham did. And that's why Ishmael came. And the name of the maid was Hagar. And she gave birth to a son named Ishmael. But the plan failed to bring happiness to the household. Polygamy, though tolerated in the Old Testament time, was never approved by God. And God's will was not to establish the covenant with Ishmael. Okay, had Abraham trusted God's timing, much misery and tragedy could have been avoided. So this is another scripture example that affirms the 20th century, our century now. Believers need to wait patiently until God fulfills His promise. And we can see there Isaac, son of promise. So here comes 13 years elapsed. So that means Ismael is 13 years already. Without a single visit from God, finally the Lord appeared and changed his name from Abram to Abraham, which means father of multitude. And Sarai, princely, changed into Sarah, which is princess. So we learned that the long-awaited son would be born the following year. So the angel announced to Abram that he will have a son. And Sarah heard and she laughed. And the angel said, why did Sarah laugh? Because you know why. Sarah is 90 years old and Abraham is 100. So the productivity is already long gone. So that's why she laughed. Like, oh, I will get pregnant. I'm menopause. So she laughed. So anyway, so it did happen. She got pregnant. And the name was Isaac. So after that, so continually Abraham lived to be righteous and faithful unto God. And one day God said to him, okay, Abraham, I want you to make a sacrifice unto me in the Mount Moriah. I want you to sacrifice Isaac. Imagine the only son, and he's very old. But you know, if God was able to provide a son for him in his old age, and Sarah in her old age, he believed that God can do anything. I can give my son and maybe he will give me another. Or he can resurrect my son. So anything goes to his mind, but he followed God without any doubt that God will do something. So that is what we need today. God, follow God with all our heart, like Abraham. That's why Abraham is a father of faith, because he really is very faithful unto God. So when they were in the mountain, okay, Abraham said, okay, it says in Genesis 22:2, take now thy son, thy only son Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon me, upon one of the mountains which I will tell of thee. Okay, so he went, and they were on the way. Okay, the altar was completed and the wood laid in place. Isaac could have overpowered his father. But as a type of Christ, he willingly lay upon, so he also laid down willingly the son. So very good son also. And Abraham was about to strike him with a knife, with a dagger. But then they heard something like a sound. Having exhibited such devotion, Abraham's blood covenant friend was pleased. Blood covenant friend was God. God was pleased. Okay, then the father and son detected the welcome sound, the struggle of a ram caught in a thicket nearby. Immediately, the animal was secured and sacrificed. So when he was about to, okay, let me see, in Genesis 22:12, lay not thine hand upon the lad, God said, neither do thou anything unto him, for now I know that thou fearest God, seeing thou hast not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me. So, really, God honored what Abraham did, because he was really willing to sacrifice his son. But God saved him, And then they heard a ram caught in the thicket or caught in the bushes. And so God provided a lamb for them. So He is our Father, faithful Father of the faithful. And so in short, Isaac grew and he married. And he married Rebekah. And with Rebekah, Isaac had two children. Their name is Esau and Jacob. They are twins. So Esau was a hunter and Jacob was a planter, or he's a farmer. So one time, Isaac was very old already. He hardly could see. And he said, my son, okay, let me see. Okay, Rebekah heard Isaac's request. She directed Jacob to kill two kids. So when Rebekah heard that Isaac wanted Esau to go and cook for him some soup, venison, actually it says in the Bible, venison is a soup. And so while Esau was hunting to cook for his father, Rebekah heard what Isaac requested, and she said to Jacob, go and kill two goats now and go and cook. And go and pretend like Esau, so you'll get the blessing. Because to be an eldest son, which is called the birthright, you have the birthright privileges, he would maintain the rank of the family. So he'll be the leader of the family if you are the eldest. And you will have double portion of all the wealth, and you will assume priestly office. You will be a spiritual leader as well for your clan or your family. So to be an eldest or firstborn is such a privilege. So Esau was a firstborn child. But that's why Isaac wanted to bless him already. But Jacob, as his name is a supplanter or deceiver, he then act like Esau. Because Esau is very hairy. He's hairy all over, and Jacob is a smooth skin. So what he did, he put the hair of the goat around his neck and the arms. So he would, because Isaac cannot see anymore, so when Isaac would feel him, he would feel that, he's hairy. It's Esau. But also, although he said that the voice is Jacob. I get confused now. Yeah. The voice is Jacob, but the feel is Esau. So so he started blessing Jacob. And after he blessed Jacob, here comes Esau with the soup. Father, I cook already. And Isaac, he knew already that he was deceived. What can I give you, my son? I already gave everything to Jacob. At least give me something, father, he said. He begged his father to bless him. So Isaac falteringly blessed his elder son with prosperity also, but he must live by his sword and serve his brother. Okay, this is the blessing of Jacob. Okay, he prayed God to give him the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth, that he would become a master served by other people, that nations would bow down to him, and that he might become Lord over his brother. Then he promised that all who bless this son would be blessed, and all who curse him would be cursed. So very good blessing. And then with Esau, he couldn't bless him more because he already gave the blessing. So angrily, Esau wanted to kill Jacob. Of course, if you were deceived, and before that time, everything is killing, everything is evil. So he wanted to kill, and so Rebecca again, he saved his son. Go to my brother. Run. So Jacob ran away. So there's a birth exchange. And so as he was, let me see. So Jacob stayed with his uncle, and from there he married Leah and, what was the name of the other? Raquel. He married two. Actually, he wanted Rachel because she loves Rachel, but the uncle deceived him. And in the night of the wedding, he gave Leah, the sister, because there's a tradition that you must marry first the elder before the younger. So he gave Leah and said, "This is not the wife that I wanted." Jacob said. So Laban, the uncle, he just gave, okay, take also Rachel, but you have to serve me another 7 years. So he served the uncle another 7 years, and so he got two wives. And from them they have 11 children. So it doesn't say there yet. So after having these 11 children, he finally decided to go back to his family, and on his way, he dreamt. But he has his family already. He dreamt that, okay, let me see, where is the dream? Okay, a human. It's in the solitude of the night, Jacob began to pray. That is in Genesis 32, verse 24. There he wrestled the man with him until the breaking of the day. So that's not yet the dream. The dream, he dreamt of the stairs going up and down there. Descending and ascending angels. That was his dream. Okay, I get confused. That was his dream before he goes to his uncle. So after he goes to his uncle, he dreamt. And then we're going back to his hometown after he has children and everything. He had another dream. That's what it says, the new man. Is that there? A new man. Okay, a new man, a new name. So that's where he got his new name. Because he wrestled with an angel. And the angel said, oh, until morning they were wrestling. Jacob was that strong. So he said, because as the sun rose, so they were fighting until the morning. As the sun rose, the angel of the Lord granted the sun. Okay. So, let me read this one. In the solitude of the night, Jacob began to pray, whereupon they wrestled the man with him until the breaking of the day. Desperately, Jacob struggled with his angelic visitor as he declared, I will not let you go except you bless me, Jacob said to the angel. As the sun rose, the angel of the Lord granted the desired blessing. The name Jacob, supplanter or deceiver, was changed to Israel. So Jacob became Israel. Now the nation Israel, which means the Prince of God. Amen. So, is it clear? I want you to read also, so it's more detailed story. It's a really very interesting story about the life of Jacob with his uncle. It's a very long story. So if you read it in the Bible, it's in Genesis 30 around there. Okay. So as he was going to his hometown, he heard that Esau was coming also with 4,000 men, or 400,000 men. Okay. Esau, 400 armed men were coming to meet Jacob. So he was afraid maybe he was coming to still kill him. So what he did, he divided his family, 6 children there and 6 children to the other wife. And as they go, because he's become very rich already, so he said he put, actually it's in the Bible, I did not do the details, I did not read the details, but he would put animals a bunch of animals going with other people, with his servants. So Esau saw this, like he was surprised how all this like gifts to him. And so in the end, they found out. Jacob found out, or Israel found out that Jacob is not angry anymore. So they embrace and become friends again. And Esau even said, okay, you will take, because you are the rightful, because you are the one who inherited the land, so I will leave you, I'll give you the land and I will go to the mountain. So that's what happened. So they become later on called Edom, the group of Edom people, Esau. Okay, so that's it for today.
This is the descendants
Yeah,
of
I become
Esau.
Edom, Esau.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's it for today. I think, yeah. And the next story is, shall we continue, Joseph?
Yeah, still on time.
We still have time, okay, because Joseph's also a long story.
Turn.
Anyway, turn to the next,
Yeah, next.
Israel becomes a nation.
We're still in dispensation of promise.
Yes.
Next page.
Chart 7. Lagging, okay.
That's one.
Okay. Israel becomes a nation, so Jacob have one last son, Benjamin. Because when they left their uncle, he has 11. Now he has another child, a very young, very favorite son, Benjamin. Because when Benjamin was born, his mother Rachel died, and Rachel was the favorite of Jacob or Israel. So as they go on, become big, they become shepherd, and Joseph and Benjamin are the children of Rachel. Rachel did not have so many children. Okay, so Joseph actually and Benjamin are favorite of Jacob or Israel. And so we have these 12 children tending. Okay, Joseph was not in the field. Only the 10 brothers are always in the field taking care of the goats and the sheep that they have. And one time, Father Israel said, well, go and check your brothers what they're doing. Now he become a spy. He's like in Greek the Karfi. So he went and visited his father, and then because he's always wearing colorful clothes because he's the favorite. And so the brother said, look at this brother of ours. He's coming. Let's kill him, they said. So my father will not have a favorite anymore. So they tried to kill him, but one of the brother, Reuben, said, no, let's not kill him. Let's just put him, so they decided to just put him in a pit, maybe until he dies there. And then what they did, they killed an animal, and they took his clothes and put blood on it, and they went to his father and said, Father, Joseph is dead. You know, if you have a favorite son and you heard that he died, he was so heartbroken, really. So heartbroken. But then, what happened to Joseph? One of the brothers went and take him out from the pit, from the well. It's a dried well, and they just decided to sell him. And they sell him to one of the Egyptian, how do you call them? Traders. And from that time, they sell also him to the rich people in Egypt. So he became a servant of a rich family. And that family, you know what happened? It became prosperous because of Joseph. Because Joseph also is a very faithful man of God. He has so much faith in God also.
You forget to explain about this.
Okay. Before that, Joseph had a dream. Before he got sold in his dream first. Okay. Actually, it's very good if you read. Every time I read Joseph's story, I cry. Very touching. So Joseph's dream was that first, you know, the haze. There are 12 bunches of haze, bundles. And one is in the middle and 11, actually, it bowed down to one of the hay. Yung dayami. And another dream he has, is that the moon, the stars, I think the stars, I'm not very sure because I did not know that I was going to teach today this thing.
Okay.
Anyway. So he saw also 11 stars and moon and stars bowing also to him. And he told this to the parents, and they said, what kind of dream is this? You mean we will bow down to you? And the parents also got angry for this dream. So they did not mind the dream. So he was sold in Egypt, and because he's a very handsome, probably he's a very handsome guy, that the wife of the businessman want Joseph. But Joseph is fearful of God. He doesn't want to sin, and he tried his best not to not to fall into temptation. And because the wife of the businessman, he get angry because who are you? And so she wanted to grab Joseph, but Joseph ran away, and he dropped his maybe he has a shawl or something, or a scarf or a jacket, whatever. And so what happens is that he ran away, and the wife said he tried to rape me. So he overturned the story. So the boss got angry and put him in prison. So in prison again, God showed him favor again. And the prison guy, or the guy who takes care of the prison cell, he likes Joseph again. And he put Joseph to take care of all the prisoners. So he was like that. Everything that Joseph does is prospers. And inside the prison, he was 11 years in prison. But he remained steadfast and believing in God. And Joseph won the confidence of the jailer and his fellow prisoners, and he also interpreted dreams. Okay, one time there were two who was, he interpreted dreams. One time the Pharaoh had a dream. And he dreamed of 7 corns full, and 7 corn, how do you call it? I don't know how to call it without it's not full. And from the full corn, it came out these skinny corns without the butil. Okay, kernel, without kernel, little. So one is that, and another dream, a cow, the big fat cow. They were just there eating and drinking in the river, and another came from the 7 skinny cows, started eating the fat one, and after eating, it didn't even show that they are full. They're still skinny. So imagine that. So we cannot understand all the wise men in the palace. They couldn't interpret this dream. And so one of the wine taster who used to be in the prison, who had a dream also, and Joseph interpreted, He said he remember, but actually he promised that he will help Joseph when he interpreted his dream. So he said, I remember now. There's a prisoner who can interpret dreams. So they immediately took Joseph, probably had beard and everything because he's a prisoner. So they cut his hair, they made him handsome again, and they presented him to Pharaoh. And so Pharaoh said, okay, I heard that you can interpret dreams. So he said his dream. And Joseph said, the interpretation only comes from God. And this is what God says. Those two dreams are the same. There will be 7 years of plenty. And then after that, there will be 7 years of famine, which this time they won't even remember that there was a time of plenty. Because it's so grievous, everything is so dry, it's really famine, everything will be hungry. And so he said he's trying to tell the Pharaoh what to do. And Pharaoh said, okay, since you are the one who knows everything, I will give you the duty to do it. You will be in charge of this thing. And he said, you will be second to me. He even gave the ring of Pharaoh. You will be the second in command. Imagine, only him he cannot overcome. Only the Pharaoh. So he's second in command and he started building storehouses in every city, and he said, and every crops that we have in this plenteous time, we will stack them, so when the 7 years of famine comes, we will have also to take out from that's the plan. So, in other words, okay. In other words, he became very great in Egypt. He's like a god already. They treat him like a big leader. So, while meantime his brothers are also, so as Pume, it's finished already. The famine came, but Egypt has plenty because of Joseph. They were able to plant. So here comes the famine, and everywhere, actually everywhere, even the place where his parents are, has famine. So the brothers heard that in Egypt there's food. And so they said to Father, there's food in Egypt. We can go and buy there. And so he sent the 11 to go and buy. Actually 10, because Joseph is supposed to be dead. And Benjamin is the favorite, doesn't want to go anywhere. So he sent the 10 brothers to go and buy. And in short, they went to buy, and Joseph immediately recognized his brothers. And you know the dream that they will bow down to him? And it happened. They were bowing to him. And he would, even me I want to cry every time I read this. And he would turn his face because he wanted to cry. His tears are coming out. And so, but he acted like he doesn't know them. Because they cannot recognize him. He is painted like an Egyptian. He has this thing like a pharaoh. You can imagine. You need your imagination. You cannot, and they think that Joseph must be somewhere, a slave already or dead already. Who would know that he would be such a great man in Egypt? So they just bowed down to him, and he said, "What are you doing here?" They even have the interpreter. Are you here are you a spy? He tried to put trouble to them. No, we are not spies. We're just children of one man, and we have one brother who was left and we have one brother died. They said like that to him. But he knows the story. So he said, "You are a spy." He still insists. And so, no. So anyway, they just left and they gave the money to pay their crops or the food that they wanted. But Joseph said, "Okay, put back their money in their sack and put my cup there." His cup for divination. Supposed to be doing some divination. So as they were going home, and they found the money and the cup of the Pharaoh. "Oh, what are we doing here?" The brother said, we're in trouble. Actually, the